1 and 0. Okay, so this week we are reading a story called Papa's New Pants, and it's a realistic fiction story about a whole family getting involved when Papa buys a new pair of pants. Since this is a fiction story, it will follow the format, Kareem, of a fiction story. So you'll see characters, you'll see a setting, problem, and a solution, and we'll look at those elements as we read this story this week. Okay? Our comprehension strategy is making inferences, which we started to learn about last week. So, take a look. Turn and tell a partner what it means to make an inference. What do you remember about that?
What do you have in your mouth?
5, 4, Aiden. 3, 2, 1. What does it mean to make an inference? Remy?
When others don't tell us everything about characters and events, and readers have to use text, story clues, and background knowledge to make it.
So when authors don't tell us everything, we have to kind of do a little bit of our own thinking, right? So what was that kind of math problem we've been using with inferring? We take the text clues and we add our background knowledge, and that's called making an inference. So we're going to be making inferences with the pictures in the story like you did last week and the text, okay? So last week with Mrs. Ryan, you guys did this activity. You looked at this picture of these two men, and you made some inferences based on what you saw in the picture. So I see up here, one thing you thought was, I think they are hiking because they have backpacks and a map, okay? So your evidence was backpacks and a map. You saw that in the picture. You added your background knowledge. Sometimes you have that when you're hiking. Maybe the fact that they're in the woods helped you with that too. And your inference is, I think they are hiking. Okay? You also said, I can infer that they are lost because they are pointing and looking around. Okay? So you saw they're pointing and looking around. That makes you think, when I'm lost, maybe that's something that I do. So you guys made inferences with this picture last week. We're going to do that with a picture in our story today. So I would like you to turn to page 347. Did you turn right to it?
Well, I opened up the section there.
347. Once you get there, take a look at the picture on this page. Think about what you notice. What do you see in the picture? Almost there, baby. What's one observation you could make about the picture on this page? Lucas, what's one thing you notice in the picture?
That the kid's dad had these big pants holding it up to his waist a little bit.
Okay, so you could say, I can infer that maybe Dad's going to buy these pants because he's holding them up to his waist, and I know sometimes when I want to see if something fits, I might hold it up to myself, okay? And you also notice that they were very long, so you could infer that these pants are too big maybe, okay? So think about what else you notice in this picture and what inferences you could make. Think for a minute. What else do you notice? Are there other things you notice in the picture? We're going to turn to a neighbor and talk about an inference you can make. Do you buy clothes that are too big? I'm glad you're not sick. Do you know for me?
No.
Did you check in the office?
No.
Yeah, go check in so we know you're here. Okay? Alrighty, 3, 2, 1, 0. So what was an inference that they could make based on something they noticed in the picture? Aiden?
So, Papa, he's holding it up to his waist.
Okay.
And the hands up to his waist. So he's probably seeing if they would fit him.
So you could say I can infer that Papa's trying to see if the pants would fit him
Yeah.
because he's holding them up to his waist. Okay. Kareem, did you have a different idea? Did anybody notice something not the pants? Did anybody pick out something else?
That they all have glasses on.
Okay, so what does that make you think?
I think that they all like need help seeing stuff.
Okay, they have glasses on and you know that people wear glasses when they don't have the best vision, so you can, okay. That's interesting. Rated?
That the cash register is handing him the card, so he may
So we may be paying for the pants, okay? Did you notice, does this store look a lot like a store we see today?
Maybe.
Looks a little bit
Oldish.
old-fashioned. So when do you think this story might take place?
1867.
So not today. So you could say based on what the store looks like, I know that stores don't look like this today, so maybe this story takes place long ago.
A candy
Okay,
store could might
so we're going to start reading this story and we're going to come back to those inferences afterwards and see if there's anything in the text that helped support what we were thinking, okay? So we're going to turn back a page to 344. And today for our fluency practice, we're going to choral read our couple of pages. So that means you are following along with me, doing your best to read with good expression, a good pace, nice and smooth. If there's a word you're not sure of, you can kind of drop in and out as you need to. But do your best to stay with us and read when you can, okay? So on 344, the beginning of the story, okay? Oh, real quick, there are a couple vocabulary words I want to point out before we start reading, okay? One of the vocabulary words is in that very first sentence, and it is this word, which is uproar. What's the word?
Uproar.
Uproar. And an uproar is noisy excitement and confusion. What's the definition?
Noisy excitement and confusion.
In our story, the sentence is, the house was in an uproar. Can you think of a time that you may have experienced an uproar? Been in a time where there's noisy excitement and confusion? Morgan? Where were you?
I was in the field.
Okay, I was in the fields and there was an uproar when... So maybe the tractor caused an uproar? Okay, all right. So we'll look for that word in the story. And another word we'll find is this word, which is tearing. Say that with me. Tearing. And this is not like tearing paper. This one is a little different. The definition is running around in a violent way. What's the definition?
Running around in a violent way.
So Grandma Tiny had been tearing around all morning like a Texas tornado. Picture a tornado. Okay, tornadoes, they're violent. They cause a lot of destruction. They kind of run around. So I can kind of visualize that Grandma Tiny, this character in the book, is kind of running around the house. Can you think of a time that you've been tearing around somewhere? Turn and tell a neighbor real quick. 3, 2, 1, 0. One example? Somebody have an example? Can you use that word tearing in your example? Braden?
When my grandpa told me to run around the house 10 times.
Maybe to get your energy out. So you were tearing around the house. All right, so we'll look for those words as we read. Okay, now 344. We're going to choral read. Ready? The house was in an uproar. Grandma Tiny had been tearing around all morning like a Texas tornado. Big Mama and Aunt Viny were coming for a visit. Grandma Tiny wanted everything and everyone to look nice when her mother and sister arrived. Papa and I had beaten so many rugs, washed so many windows, but I bet your Grandma Tiny could hem them before church in the morning. Papa winked at me and added the long-legged pants to the pile of things we were buying for Grandma Tiny. I winked back and picked out the fattest peppermint stick I could find. Papa took out his warm leather wallet and paid for everything. Okay, we're going to stop there today. Just going to read those first couple of pages. Nice job with the expression. There was a lot of dialogue on those pages, and I really heard you changing your voice to match how the characters might have said that. Okay? So before we read, you guys made some inferences based on the picture. Now that we've read, I want you to look and see, were there any words in the text, any clues in the text, that might support those inferences you made? So one inference you made was that the pants were too long. Did you see anything in the text that talked about the pants being too long that could confirm that inference you made? See if you can find it on that page 346. What text did you find that might support that inference, Isabella?
Those pants must have been made for a giant. They're way too long for you.
Yeah, so you guys thought, well, the pants were too long, and it says that there in the text. So that inference you made from the picture before you even read it was
True.
it was correct. Did you find something else, Will?
The extra fabric was so long it draped onto the floor.
Exactly, and that matches the picture and that inference we made that they were too long. Now, we thought that Papa was considering buying the pants, right?
Yeah.
Was that correct?
Yes.
Does it say anything about him buying the pants? Chords. 4, 3, chair, 3, 2, 1,
Chair.
and 0. Give me 5. So we're going to take our spelling pretest a little bit later, but our spelling words this week, and you'll see some of these in this story, start with either A or B, B-E, okay? So this word right here is again. How many syllables does again have? Again. I would divide this word right here, okay, between the A and the rest of the word. In a word that starts with that A like this, it's going to make the sound. So this word would be again, and it's spelled with just an A. So on your board, can you write the word or begin? Okay, casting your markers, mark us down in 3, 2, 1. Begin. Alright, I can see that you thought about the sounds you hear when you spelled that word. Take a look. How do I spell begin? B-E-G-I-N.